Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of Chocobo Dash. I'm your host, Nell Celestine, and joining me once again
is her Elliot.
Well, I have some wonderful news to announce to everybody. Elliot, I'm sure, is just as thrilled as I am, but we're finally on iTunes!
Hooray!
Oh my god, that was a headache. For something called RSS, which stands for Really Simple System, that was not simple.
I also am very excited to note that if you're watching this in the video, you can see that, true to my promise in the last show, there is now a plant here.
It's small, but hey, it's a promise. Promise was kept.
I kept in tune with this letter of the law, even if it wasn't necessarily the spirit. It's a plant, it's green, it's leafy. It's wonderful. So what have you been up to this week, Nell?
Well, I had one heck of an accomplishment this week. Well, let's just say one heck of a series of accomplishments. I ended up completing my Titan EX win.
Right.
And it was a pickup party. 7 out of 8 of us had not had a win yet. So congratulations to the other 6 people that were with me that needed their first win.
That's great.
The next day after that, my static party, we defeated Twintania.
Excellent.
So we're now taking this week off to rest, relax, and do whatever we want before we start tackling Coil turn 6. I ended up actually walking away from our turn 5 victory with the Summoner books, so looking forward to using that some more. And finally, a couple of days ago, I defeated FFXIV. I just didn't get around to doing it because FFXIV, as people have obviously stated before, he is a lot easier than Titan. It's by far a lot easier. So anybody who is not sure and think people might be kidding about that, no, it's definitely a lot easier.
That's what I've heard from everyone. Which is kind of a shame. Poor Frit finally got his day in the sun, and he's still not as hard as Titan.
Well, don't get me wrong. His attacks probably, from my understanding, for tanks, hurt a lot more than Titan. His eruptions do a lot more damage than anything that Titan throws at you. But without the instant death mechanics, he's a lot easier and a lot less stressful.
But still, you got all those down, so that's a big chunk of progress for you.
I feel rather accomplished, I would say.
You should. So, all congratulations to Dell. I, meanwhile, for work, because open betas were starting up and other projects were starting up, I basically took a week off and haven't had a chance to play at all. So my list of accomplishments over the past week mostly include logging in to do the show and sending my retainer on a couple of ventures.
Did you get anything good from your ventures?
No, I did not.
Fish, and more fish?
One time it was a rock.
Well, how about your dailies? Or have you finished those yet?
No, I haven't even been able to finish those up. So I am sure that the Sahagan will be fine, and I'm sure that this week I figure I will probably finish up the Kobolds, complete, be done with. Okay,
this is not a spoiler, but anybody who has finished the Cobalt dailies will agree with me on this. The final set of cutscenes for the Cobalt dailies can be summed up with 2 words: Falcon Punch.
I look forward to seeing it sometime this week.
All right, then. So, without any further ado, then, what do you say we dive into the meat and potatoes of today's show?
That sounds like a great idea, and let's actually start off by looking backwards a little bit, because something that's being talked about a bit on the forums that I thought we should address. There are a couple of different threads. One of them is being passed around where people are asking if there's really any point having dark matter in the game any longer, because as it stands, dark matter, you can use it to repair your gear, but that first requires you to switch to a bunch of crafting classes, repair all the pieces individually, and that's when you can just walk over to a repair vendor and have it all repaired in jiffy for what amounts to pocket change. there was another thread also talking about, how much of an impact the bonus points really make, pointing out that even if they, 30 points in a given stat does sometimes make a difference. It's certainly nothing to sneeze at, but at the same time, there's not really any choice involved in this spending. I mean, Nell, I know you play Summoner, and it's not hard for you to set, how am I going to spend my Summoner points? I'm going to toss all of them in it.
Yeah, and I can understand that the only trade-off class right now is Summoner/Scholar. Because when you think about it, Summoner is pretty much all intelligence, Scholar is pretty much all mind, but they share the same pool of bonus points.
And even that winds up, usually you pick one that you're actually using in the end game and you go that route. Or if you are, willing to hope that nobody asks, you will split your points down the middle and hope that nobody notices that you're hitting a little less hard than everyone else, which probably no one will. And that got me kind of thinking about the stuff that's sort of, I don't want to say unused, but it's holdovers from 1.0 that don't necessarily have a whole lot of place, it seems, in the way that 2.0 is structured.
Going with the dark matter first, it's cheaper, yes, only if you're, I think, below 25%. Someone can correct me on this in the comments, or you can provide feedback on the official Lodestone topic. You can just search for Chocobo Dash. But I believe you have to be below 25% before it's actually economically viable. And even then, the hassle of going in and selecting each individual piece of gear to repair, because you can't repair all gear of one class type. Back in 1.0, if somebody put up that they wanted repairs, you could repair individual pieces for that player, or you could repair all that were within your capabilities. I don't understand why they took out the ability for having other players repair your gear, because that kind of system would help in the long run. It would make sense for people to carry around dark matter.
It also, as a result, there's also the simple hassle of it. Like, even if you have leveled all your crafts enough so that you can repair every piece of gear on you, and keep in mind, even the most focused class, you're probably going to have gear that requires 3 or 4 different crafting classes to repair. Like, even like a paladin, you're probably going to need an armor smith, a leather worker or weaver, a goldsmith. You're going to need a few different classes to repair everything. But even if you've leveled everything, you still have to go swap to one class, manually repair each item, then swap to another class, manually repair each item that class. For the cost of a few gil, which you can make up in so many different ways, it is not worth the hassle of dealing with this dark matter.
Heck, you could probably sell a bunch of that dark matter and cover the cost of the repairs.
So, and then on the subject of bonus points, that's back in, for those of you who were not around in 1.0, in the earliest incarnation of the game, you had virtually no advancement simply by leveling. Most of the advancement was you would put your points in various attributes and level up that way, which could result, for instance, in you sinking all of your points as a caster into piety, mind, and intelligence, and not sinking a single point into any physical stats. But as it stands now, you've got 30 points to play around with, but as Nell said, there's only really one class where you're a little divided, where you have an option of putting it into different things. In pretty much everyone else, it's just, a straight 30-point bonus. There's no real customization or thought that goes into it.
It's kind of annoying because there's really no reason. I mean, maybe if you're trying to do... this is one example that I do remember seeing on the forums, was somebody used a few of their bonus points into Vitality because they didn't have enough Vitality for Titan Hard Mode when they first got there. I could see that, but other than that, there's really no reason to have customizable bonus points if they're not going to make the other stats worthwhile. Personally, I think that the bonus points, and this is just my own opinion, the bonus points should have been for, say, determination, critical, or some other form of like an option like skill speed and spell speed. Stuff like that, the bonus points probably would have been better off spent into. Now, obviously, they would have given us less bonus points for that, but would be more useful for the job as a whole, because then you're not worrying about stats. You're worrying about, okay, do I want to raise my base damage? Do I want to raise my spell speed? Or do I want to raise my critical chances?
And I think that would at least give... Spending it on secondary stats would at least have the advantage of, while you don't necessarily see any more of the impact, you do have a sense there isn't necessarily one right way or wrong way to go. It would also alleviate the problem of people who, for instance, are trying to just barely hit accuracy caps for going into coil and can't seem to get that one piece of equipment that would allow them to hit that accuracy cap. So you could actually put some points into accuracy and say, okay, right now I'm going to need to respec my points for a little while. When I pick up some more accuracy equipment, I can go back to being more purely focused on damage.
That wouldn't be a bad thing to do. Obviously, they're more than likely not going to change the system that fundamentally now. So the discussion on that is kind of moot. But it would have been something that could have been handled better.
Yeah, and I just think it's an odd holdover in terms of the game.
Now, if they do go and change it, that would be awesome, but I don't foresee that happening. So you're just going to have to carry more varieties of gear around depending on what you plan to do for that situation.
And spending points that really are just all funneling into the same direction anyway. On the other hand, what you're also going to... If you're carrying around more gear, you're also going to run into the issue of inventory space, which is something that I don't know about you, Nell. I am constantly dealing with the inventory.
I will say, I'm going to be completely honest, that I don't have the inventory issue as much, mostly because 90% of what I get that I'm not using goes immediately up on the market board. And if it sells on the market board for equal or less than what an NPC is for, I NPC it. I like having inventory space for just-in-case moments. But even then, both my retainers are pretty much full, and I have at least one full bag of inventory on me at any one time.
And I have 2 full retainers who are constantly selling things. I have a full... Not a full inventory, but a very, very, very choked inventory at the moment. And... there was a thread also on the official forums asking about if we could please have the option, for instance, to spend some gil and get an inventory increase, because right now the only way to get any more inventory space is to spend extra money per month and have additional retainers on your subscription.
And if you're paying with Krista and you get both retainers, you're going to have to deactivate the retainers at the beginning of each of your pay cycles, because you can only fit 10,000 Krista on your account at a time, and if you pay for a 6-month block and then you pay for the retainers, that's more than 10,000 Krista.
So either you're going to have to change your subscription time period, or you're going to have to deactivate your retainers for a little while, neither of which is an optimal solution. I don't know if I'd necessarily say we'd have just spend some gil. What I'd like to see actually is a adaptation of something from Final Fantasy XI in this case, namely the Gobby Bag Quest.
No, not the Gobby Bag Quest. Oh.
I said an adaptation, not the same thing. For those of you who did not play Final Fantasy XI, the Gobby Bag Quests generally required you to hunt down some rather rare materials for a minor increase in your inventory, and it was pretty much mandatory because you would run out of space almost right away.
And you would, once you got it up to full size, they called you the Grand Greedalox.
Now, personally, I would love to see the Grand Greedalox return as a title.
You would. You way too much. You're definitely a Greedalox.
Oh, you're entirely right. I have my Gobby bag stuffed full with Jingly Shine.
Speaking of Jingly Shine, let's go over our theories for the wonderful speculation that's coming out.
Yes, let's. And this was actually based on a question we got from some of our readers on Reddit, so thank you for submitting questions. But we had a few people talking about, obviously, that we've been told we're going to be getting some kind of Chocobo game in patch 2.3. So, Nell, why don't you go ahead with speculation first?
Certainly. First, I will mention our 2 Redditors that mentioned this, AhmeraMae and Moophius. So thank you both for your contributing to the show today. My personal speculation on the Chocobos, since they are not including Gold Saucer in 2.3, Chocobo Racing is obviously out. I'm guessing it's probably going to be something along the lines of Chocobo Digging from FFXIV or some form of Chocobo Hot Cold. I think it's going to have Chocobo beak leveling up, but at the same token, I don't really see it giving us much more than what our retainer ventures are doing now, with possibly one or two unique items.
Now, the main thing, I'm not sure if we're going to get hot and cold, mostly because we do already have treasure hunting. And while treasure hunting isn't quite the same thing as Chocobo Hot and Cold, it's very similar in the way that it's set up. I'm wondering if we're actually going to see something that's very off to one side. Obviously, we're not getting Chocobo Racing, and we're obviously not getting Chocobo Raising yet. But I wonder if we might see something else. For instance, one of the things I'd love to see is if we could start pitting our Chocobos against one another, almost Pokemon style, and seeing, which bird comes out on top.
Oh, that would be kind of interesting. But if they do that, then they would have to definitely bring in what a bunch of fans have been requesting, which is Chocobo resetting, because there was people that didn't know about the whole Chocobo barding when you hit rank 10, but that's only if you put all 10 ranks into one class.
And I think it's actually something that we need. We need that in place anyway in the game, and we need a little more functionality for our big yellow birds. So this would actually be an opportunity for them to give us some more options for the Chocobos and sort of set the stage for a more diverse pool once we can start raising Chocobos and giving birth to presumably breeds of Chocobo other than yellow Chocobos.
Personally, I disagree with it being a rank 10 cap. I mean, if we can be all the jobs, why can't our Chocobos?
Well, birds aren't that smart.
Hey, I don't know. My Chocobo's pretty darn smart.
Now, if they were crows, then I would say, yeah, they can be all the jobs. They can probably make a better Dragoon than I can.
Well, that's actually the DPS armor is Dragoon set.
There you go.
Which I will see in probably a few weeks.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. You know what else is coming out in a few weeks?
I can think of lots of things. But what are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of the live letter.
Oh, yes. We do have the live letter coming out.
Now, I'm hoping that it's going to have some form of live translation, because I don't want to wait another month and a half or so between the time the live letter goes up and when we get the official translation, because that's really not acceptable again.
Yeah, usually we do have the community team that is sort of translating the answers on the fly, but there's also the fact that a lot of those quick translations are not, I don't want to say inaccurate, but they're not 100% accurate, and they miss some of the nuance.
True, and I do believe I saw somewhere that Reinhardt, the person who's been doing it up to this point, is not going to be able to do it this live letter.
Yeah, so we may have to rely on fan translations, which really seems like a missed opportunity. I think they really... Well, we talked in our last show about how Square, in many ways, needs to kind of get used to the idea that there are American players that are just as devoted to this game as the Japanese player base.
I wouldn't say American per se, but definitely English speaking as well as German speaking and French, because we do have all 4 of those official forms.
Yes.
So what are your speculations on the live letter?
Well, we had one of our Redditors ask us about our questions for the live letter. And I know, Nell, you had a few questions. I don't tend to ask questions for these, and my main reason for doing so is that as someone who's been working around MMOs for a long while, I've found that usually there are 2 categories of questions. There are the questions that the developers were going to answer anyway, and then there are the questions that you get answered with just a, we have no more details, or we're not ready to talk about that, and no matter how you phrase it, you're going to get the information, or they're going to say we don't have any information for you. Either way. So asking questions, even if it's about something that you find very important, generally is met with kind of a wall of silence. So I'm just hoping that we're going to learn. I know we're going to learn more about the new dungeons. I know we're going to be learning more about some of the new things that have been previewed, like the daily hunts. And I'm hoping that we'll hear a little bit more about the rumors of having some content for less than a full group of people, like 2 or 3 people who want to do something together.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to hear about some of that. We're also probably going to hear a little bit about Crystal Tower, this new desynthesis, which is probably going to be, I don't want to say a mirror of Final Fantasy XI's desynthesis, but something similar. But my questions were pretty much the same as most other people's. Like, what's going to happen with Crystal Tower? Are we going to get the soldiery drops there? What kind of gear is going to drop? Is it going to be under the lockdown again? But my number one question, and there's a reason why it's my number one question, and that was one of the other things that was actually mentioned by our Redditors as well, was I want to know when the FanFest is. Because the longer it takes for us to find this out, the sooner it'll happen, and the more expensive it is going to be for people to fly there or travel, as well as less time to actually book off days in advance.
Yes, the FanFest, it's coming. We do know it's coming, though, and we know it's coming in October, and we have had people ask if we are going to be attending. Now, Nell, I know you are going to be attending the FanFest. Is that correct?
Oh, heck yeah, I will be there.
I am hoping to be there. I can't at the moment make a commitment to say, yes, I will totally be there, but it is on the plan for something that I would like very much to go to. Although the earlier that they let us know, here's when it is, here is the flight information, here is the ticket pricing, the easier it's going to be for me to make that case and get down there.
I'm kind of hoping that they have like VIP ticket style seating where, like, if you book and pay like extra or something like that, you can get front row seats or somewhat front row seats.
That would be,
for a slight premium.
Yeah, that would be really nice. I'm hoping that they're holding off on announcing that until either the live letter or a little bit thereafter. I think I would like to hope that they're just finishing up the details of exactly when it's going to happen, because that way, if we know at the beginning of June, we'll have about 4 months to prepare, and that's enough time to get time off and save money if you need to get down there. I know that both of us would like to be down there, and we may even possibly try to record something of a show down there, although I'm not going to commit to that right now because we don't even know if we're both going to be down there.
Well, let's put it this way. If both of us can make it down there, we'll at least attempt to record something.
It may be lo-fi, and it may not be the best show you've ever heard, but it'll be recorded.
I'll pack the Blue Yeti. But okay. For the FanFest plans, my goal is to see mostly the new content, obviously, the producer information. I know we're still kind of fledgling here, but I did put in to hopefully see if that we can get some kind of a press pass or some sort. So if they're doing any kind of interviews, we can get into there. But I'm not going to hold my breath at the moment. But
now, I probably, if I am going there, I will probably be going under the auspices of my other job. For those of you who don't know, I write for Massively and I write for the Moglog. So that would probably be my main focus going there. So I would probably be doing the press thing, getting interviews, and I would definitely want a chance to meet with people because I'm sure several listeners and several of the people that we know from playing the game for several years would also be there. So I'm pretty sure that there are going to be a fair number of parties, both official and unofficial, and it'd be a great chance to just meet a lot of people who you've, and I think everyone has just seen as a name on the screen rather than as a person, placing a face in the name.
I'm going to be honest, I'm probably going to be a bit shy in person. So if you recognize my voice or whatever, you can come up to me and mention something if you want to talk or something, and that's fine, but I am not one of those people for public speaking, per se.
Ironically, I am in game. Nell is the more friendly one. Out of game, I think I'm a little bit more of the social one.
Quite ironic when you think about it.
Yeah, you can really taste the irony.
Irony.
Kind of hurts the teeth, though.
Yeah, it's kind of like my terrible pun.
Oh no, it was a wonderful pun. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the puns. Come for the come for the Final Fantasy XIV commentary. Stay for the horrible puns.
Alrighty then. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to add this week?
No, I think that's about it this week. It's a little bit of a slower week, but we're right on the cusp of some big revelations between the live letter and everything. So
yeah, we got the live letter coming up in a couple of weeks and E3 shortly thereafter. So it'll be a heavy news week coming up very soon.
We'll have plenty of things to talk about, including, I hope, the revelation of what those mysterious jobs that we've all been speculating about are going to be.
Mm-hmm. And if you are interested, we are currently considering Patreon. So if it's something you think would be pretty good for our show, feel free to leave a comment somewhere either on the official forums or on the YouTube videos. So yeah, please do check out both. I realize that it's on iTunes, but I would really appreciate too if you wanted to make any kind of comments. Do a quick search on YouTube for the episode and post there. It would help out immensely.
I am promoting this each week on the Moglog. If you're familiar with that, you can also leave comments and feedback there because they all come to us. We see all of it.
Yeah. All right. So then I guess that's it for this week's episode. As always, if you're on YouTube, you can leave a positive or negative comment in the box below. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow both of us on Twitter. I'm Nell_Celestine.
And I'm Elliot_Lefebvre.
Elliot, do you want to spell your name just in case?
All right. That's ELIOT _LE, F as in Frank, E, B as in boy, V as in Victor, RE.
All right. And so you can follow us on Twitter. And you can also post on the official Lodestone topic, or you can post on the Moglog if you have any questions or comments. This is also apparently being cross-posted to XIV Nation, so you can post comments there. I don't check that as regularly, so I do suggest either the official Lodestone topic or Twitter if you want to get a hold of either of us.
Mm-hmm. That's probably the easiest. That's the quickest turnaround for us.
All right. So, as always, this is now Celestine.
And this is Elliot Lefebvre.
And we bidding you adieu.